Hello and welcome back to A Better World. This is your host Mitchell J. Rabin, and we're very glad you're joining us again today. Today we're going to have another very interesting show. We are very pleased to have with us in our studio two people from Sedona, one of whom we've had on the show before, Kapp, the founder of Wisdom of the Earth, a company that produces an incredibly natural, organic, essential oil, essences of the flowers and the plants. And I'm bathing in the aromas this moment as we speak. And it's affecting all of our consciousness, actually, as we sit here speaking with you. And we have his lovely wife, Cynthia Olivera de Capp. And together they are traveling across the country. They're out here in the East right now, teaching and speaking with people about the work they're doing, which has a lot to do with bringing the essences as well as the intelligence through the essences of the plant kingdom and the trees to our lives to help stabilize, root, and heal us. So we're very pleased to have them on to speak about this work, which is really, no pun intended, essential to our lives and our own evolution. So on that note, hi you two.
Hi, how are you?
Great to have you both.
Thank you.
Good. So Cynthia, if you would, one of the great gifts that I've come to understand from you both about what these oils can do is help to heal as well as open the heart. And as we all know, this chakra of all is so vitally important at this point in time. Could you speak about how you use the oils in this way for people?
Sure. At this time in our world, we're coming to the time of authenticity and the time of great truth. And you can see it all over our land, political things, relationships, everything is breaking up. There is so much happening on the planet right now where ethics and authenticity, truth, love has to be the thing that guides us. So, and a lot of us have our hearts shut. We have a lot of heart attacks and heart problems and breath problems, and one of the things about essential oils,
just feeling problems,
right?
Feeling the depth.
Sure. So we are disconnected from our feelings. We watch the television. I mean, it's such an interesting time in our world. So essential oils can really help to open the heart. Not only, yoga opens the heart. There's many forms, but the essential oils move through the body so quickly. They go right through the skin, right into the heart. In this time of authenticity, fear. There's so much fear on the planet. And the Mayan calendar talks about that we are truly on a precipice. We are at the time of great ethics. We are in the land of ethics and authenticity. And before we can reach the time...
integrity.
And integrity, absolutely, where there's so
Which
little.
is the pivot point between these items, these values you're referring to.
Absolutely. And as we move into this, and to clear it up, it's being cleared. There's so much being brought up today that there's to be healed and cleared and let go of.
For sure.
So how do we work with the heart? How do we allow our own integrity? How do we speak? How do we get very clear about what it is that we need to do right now? We need to navigate our lives because it's different than the way it used to be.
Definitely.
And so we have some beautiful essences.
What essences do you use to facilitate this opening?
Oh, we have several, and they are, again, pure essential oils. There's nothing in them but the oil itself. And we always pour in ceremonies, so they're
That's
really...
That's a change of pace.
Right. Pure, nothing added, nothing subtracted, right?
Exactly.
And my first very, very beautiful essence is rose. And if you ever smell a rose that's in a perfume, somehow it always gives you a headache. There's some additive that... And for me personally, I didn't like rose. I didn't like the smell of it. But this rose, a few drops on your heart will really help to allow the essence in, allow the flower, the blossom, the petals to just open the heart. Some others that are not.
It's such a beautiful image of the heart anyway, and
right.
The opening of the petals and.
Yeah, just allowing that to go in to open.
Oh,
Yeah. We also have cardamom seed, which is ancient for opening the heart and for heart attacks and for any ailments.
Just for India,
for sure. It's lovely. And ylang ylang, as old as time. The flower blossoms of the ylang ylang tree are huge, and then the smell of that again. are very, the flowers are so delicate, violet, so delicate, you know, when you need to love yourself especially first.
Now, what are the differences between the effects? They all will open the heart, but I imagine they would open different aspects of the heart, or...
Absolutely. Violet is one of the major essences that we use for people who have gone through such abuse experiences through different levels of their life. It could be rape, it could be a pedophile situation, it could be an abusive mother, it could be anger issues, domestic violence, that type of thing. It could be a catastrophic accident where people begin to... Trauma.
Absolutely.
Yeah, catastrophic trauma. And this in itself could actually bring about a feeling emotionally and spiritually of total blockage, to where you feel like you're going to shut down, or you do shut down, and you really are very leery of touch, period. And violet being so petite, and the blossom being so amazingly brought down in history through poetry, through songs, oral tradition, written tradition, it really has a huge ability, you know, like the old adage, never underestimate the power of something small. And violet is one of the huge ones to...
Cynthia and I feel that way very much.
We're small.
In the emotional and spiritual realm, to open that.
Yeah.
And then go on with what you were going to say with the cardamom.
Oh no, and the cardamom as well as, and I would think for all of us going through this transitional time, laurel leaf. The beautiful laurel leaf to really combat anxiety, fear, stress. I mean, laurel leaf just is an essence that will bring you so much back to balance. It will allow that fear to subside within you and really give you courage to move forward, to open the heart. Mm-hmm. Because I think for some people it takes courage, because you're so afraid of being hurt again. You're so afraid of all the outside influences. It's so much easier to shut down than to have to really deal with your heart. Because in order for, like the Mayan calendar says, when we come to the place of co-creation, when we're moving through the system right now, where we get to our authenticity, we get to our integrity, when everything is cleared, and then you go to the place where you can co-create from the heart, not from the mind, but from the heart. You know, you need the courage to move forward so that you can do that.
So these essences, if people were to use them on a regular basis, and let's just say for whatever the reasons, trauma, difficult early past life, difficult present relationship, fear, whatever the case may be, this will help them open their heart over time. Is it something that happens like that in an instant, or is it something that is more gradual? How would you say?
There's no template. It has to do with how much work the individual has already done, where they're at. You know, when we think of the cosmos and we think of what is going on this earthly plane, there is a duality that is happening. And when we think of science right now, in the history before the shift, 2012, there is this awareness within the Mayan calendar and those shamans who express this, that right now, normally, under normal circumstances, science says that any human being, you and I, can process approximately 24 different bits of information per second. That is what is on the books right now. How to
As in on a conscious level.
On a conscious level. Yeah, we're talking about this earth here. On a conscious
I've heard
level.
it's actually up to 40.
Up to 40.
Oh, let's move it up.
That ain't much.
Right.
No, it's not much, because by the time 2010, 2011 comes, what the Mayan calendar says has already happened before is that it's going to go so far beyond that we will not be able to use our calculating minds anymore. And the only thing, every time as this comes around full circle, all we will have will be intuition. And that's within the mind of the heart. So if a person has done their work, such things as laurel leaf to prepare for the heart, which the Roman Empire made very, very famous. Laurus nobilis is its Latin name. It's what the Caesars used around their heads when they were inaugurated. It's what the legions of the Roman armies did before they would go out to battle. They would douse themselves with laurel leaf, which, by the way, gives
courage, as you were saying,
gives
Cynthia.
that courage.
Right.
And you can talk about it from the right brain or from the left brain in regards to the neurotransmitters and the neuroreceptors, what it actually affects within our neurological system. So if we have the pure rose, biodynamically farmed, this is a step above organic, and then wildcrafted.
Based on the work of Rudolf Steiner.
Yes,
Right.
Rudolf Steiner,
Absolutely.
right. We really do not even involve ourselves with organic. We
really?
stay with the biodynamic and the wildcrafted.
And you've noticed that much a difference between them.
Yeah.
Yes, and what we have and what we bring to the table and what comes back to us as affirmations and confirmation speaks for itself.
Right.
We use rose, as Cynthia said. We also use ylang-ylang.
I love that.
And then, unbeknownst to a lot of people, shamanically, we're starting at the right place. We're starting at the spiritual level, and then we're coming down to the emotional.
And
now
material.
we can speak a little bit about the physiological, the actual physical heart problems, which then can go back up the scale, back up to emotional and spiritual. You have such essences as goldenrod, Saladago canadensis, which in Spanish, Saladago means to make whole. Interestingly enough, the goldenrod has gotten quite a bad rap in this country because of the allergies, and instead of taking responsibility for us as humans, our own abuses that we have done to this planet, we like to stick it out, the pollen
Project it
from-
onto nature.
Right.
Yeah, right. But goldenrod is an ancient Native American essence for many different issues, not the least being the physical heart, the emotional heart, and the spiritual heart. And then another one that we use along with the other ones that we've already mentioned is a very rare essence from the sunflower family known as Inula, I-N-U-L-A, graveolens. It actually has no colloquial name. Like goldenrod is a colloquial nickname in the English language all over the world. But its Latin botanical name is Saladago canadensis, whereas Inula graveolens is just its name in
Right.
The
Latin
Latin.
to begin with. It is the highest antihistamine essence known in the real medicinal aromatherapy world. But on top of that, it has tremendous possibilities for harmonizing the heart. All conditions of the heart, inflammation of the heart, post-surgical heart
Healing, recovery.
Recovery,
heart blockages.
Oh, okay.
What do they call that in surgery? I just had a blank here. Open heart surgery for blocked aortas, that type of thing. The inflammation of the sac of the heart.
Bypass.
The bypass, that's what I'm looking for, thank you. Endocarditis. Then we have such new essences that have not been distilled very long, all the way from ancient times, and that's pennyroyal and catnip, which are which are very, very interesting. And this all being in relationship that there is always a counterpart. Everything that we've mentioned right now has an emotional, spiritual counterpart. What we mentioned first, it can come the other way, which is in reality the proper way to look at something. Because if you have physical heart disease, if I have that, we can just mark it down that there are issues on our emotional level and in our spiritual dimension that we are really either in the process of working with, or we have invested a lot in stories that we have not been able to deal with, that finally our heart says, you know what, I can't deal with this anymore, and I'm going to have to give this beautiful spirit that's in this body a wake-up call, and boom, we have a heart problem. So these essences will help on all those levels.
The penny royal,
Royal, yeah.
the catnip.
And the catnip are also heart-oriented.
Absolutely, and there are
essences.
others, but
Right.
these are some
The main ones.
real main ones that I have.
With a few innovations.
That's right. We've
Right.
had a lot of success. We are working with patients 24/7, and I'll repeat it again. This would be the newest ones would be pennyroyal, catnip, inula graveolens, cardamom seed, ylang ylang, goldenrod, rose, and then laurel leaf for courage.
Wonderful.
And then we started out with violet.
With violet. God, so interesting.
Yeah.
Now, according to this ancient idea of doctrine of signatures, there is a relationship between the way a flower looks, its coloration,
Absolutely.
its structure and style, and its purpose. Do you find that to be so in the work you're doing?
Absolutely.
You gave a small indication of that, Barry, no pun intended, with the size of the violet.
Right.
Yes.
But do you find it to be general across the board, that there is a functional relationship and aesthetic, etc.?
Absolutely. There's another whole connection that we could talk about just briefly, and Sin and I could talk about this, and that would be the interconnection with the chakra system.
Right.
If you look at the color violet,
Sure.
what part of the chakra does that represent?
Right.
Sure.
Upper chakra. So
Exactly.
that would be opening that place as well.
But so it's not necessarily just the heart.
Not just
in
the
that
sa-
case.
Right. Well, they're quantum physics based, so they're going to work in any area that you
course.
put them
Sacred,
anyway.
sacred geometry, multidimensional, multitasking, as we like to say in English, the essence is when they are pure, and that is a must. When they are pure, without any additives or subtractives, they have a potentiality to effectually, on an intellectual molecular basis, commune with the molecular intelligence of each one of us, individually and with our DNA and our double helix. This is some of the ancient truths that have been handed down even much longer in history than written tradition.
The
we
oral
have to-
tradition.
The
Of
oral
course.
tradition, right.
And we have to remember that in shamanic cultures, even the Hebrew culture is an example that strayed away so much and went into precepts and laws upon laws. The ancient parts of Hebrew was oral tradition. And for the shamanic cultures, their credibility is much more, they take much more credibility in the oral tradition than those cultures that are very much involved with the written word.
Right. I'd also say that.
There are many good reasons for
Right.
that.
Many good
there-
reasons.
Very
sure.
practical reasons.
But also the things, the stuff of the earth, what it's made of, the things that the trees are made of, the earth is made of, the moon is made of, the Mars, all those molecular DNA structures is exactly what we're made of as well. So the plant material being
In
so...
fact, we are stardust.
We are stardust, for sure. So that the material being so full of love. I mean, look at this, so full of love, so
yeah.
full of beauty. You know how good you feel when you walk into the forest or when you go into a botanical garden and all of a sudden all of your senses rise. You're literally
The flowers are
taking-
smiling all
they're
over the
smiling.
place.
Absolutely.
So you're taking that
Absolutely.
essence and you're pouring it into your body and you're receiving that same amount of goodness and love and smile. You're getting the energy from the sun that reaches down onto the plants. You're getting the
Sure.
energy from the universe, from the stars and the planets and the galactic community falling into the plant and tree kingdom as well as the earth mother and how it goes through her roots. So that when you put this on your body, you're being healed on so many levels without human interference, without doctor interference, without chemical interference. It's straight, pure, organic love from all the levels.
It's
of
natural
consciousness.
chemicals.
Natural,
That's a
that's
different
it,
thing than a
right.
synthesized chemical.
Exactly.
And it really needs to be shown how different these things are.
True.
Related to what you're saying, Cynthia, and the entire spectrum, if you will, of effects that these oils that you make with your intentions, by the way, of love and goodwill and for the highest good of the people. I know because I've been in your place and I know how you operate in the love with which you deal and touch and
Right.
interact with your oils. Another language that we use these days, and that of course physics uses, is that of frequency and vibration. So what a lot of people don't know, and perhaps you could speak to, is this idea that unlike so many other forms of healing and therapeutic modalities like massage, like bodywork, deep tissue, and so many other things that are really wonderful and very good, oils occupy their own unique place. And one of those reasons is because of their vibration that they hold.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Could you speak to that? Because
Sure. And then I would like to link it with one other system to talk about today. The vibrational frequency, actually, it's interesting you mentioned that. We were talking on our way here. We were talking about why are there so many people that are contacting toenail fungus in the feet. And there's just so many people, young people as well. They don't have to reach 40 or 50 or 60 or 70, young people. And one of the reasons is that when we are harmonized in heart, we have a direct conduit from the cosmos. And there's a vibrational light that goes through us when there's no blockages and goes right down into the Pachamama, into the Earth Mother. But when we are blocked, that vibrational frequency, that white light, it gets blocked and we don't have a line down through. So what happens if we go into the immune system scenario and the philosophies and beliefs and also actual credibility from the science that we talk about today, whether they are in tune with Earth Mother or not, there is this issue that if our immune system is compromised too much, which there's many ways to explain that, what I just said, that we begin to create blocks in our system. And if we create blocks and that light does not go through,